Hey everybody, welcome to this thing. Um, I'm calling it Lone Star State, I guess, because it's clever. Because I'm by myself and I'm muted. I'm a professional at YouTube. Can't you guys tell? Hey, welcome to this show. Calling it Lone Star State because it's clever. Because it's my name and I'm by myself. Because we can't leave our homes. Um, yeah, this is going to be a just a I don't know, a weird show where I do weird dorky stuff that I don't usually get to do otherwise. Last week I painted a bunch of Warhammer minis and talked to you guys, and this week I'm going to paint some Warhammer minis and I'm going to talk to you guys. We're not always going to paint Warhammer minis. We're going to do some different weird stuff that I got planned, but for today we're going to paint. Hey Christopher, hey Christy. Ooh, you put a quiche in the oven. That sounds lovely. So I'm just going to start getting into this and painting. So here's what the show is today. I play a game called Warhammer: Age of Sigmar. It's a wargaming tabletop game where you spend an absurd amount of money on miniatures that are very complex to assemble and paint, and you get together with another friend who paid way too much money on really cool looking miniatures. You put them on a table, and they each have stats and rules and stuff like that. And then you use those rules and you roll a bunch of dice, and somebody wins. It's really fun, actually. I love playing it. Um, it's really relaxing. And I have been meaning to finish painting my Stormcast Eternal army. That's one of the factions in Warhammer. For ages, and so I figured since I'm literally not allowed to leave my home, um, what better time than now? So yeah, that's what we're doing. Uh, I really, this is probably like my biggest hobby, really, right now that I'm trying to stay on top of. Um, Largely because most of my hobbies like somehow revolve around what I do for a living, right? Like I write a ton, on the side, other than what you guys see from Honest Trailers and stuff like that. By the way, hi, I'm Joe Starr. Um, uh, if you've never hung out or interacted with me before, I'm a comic in LA. I'm on a channel called Screen Junkies. I write a show called Honest Trailers. And also, I paint dudes. That's who I am. Hi, welcome to the thing. Um, so I really like this hobby because, hey, Ashley Flowers, because most of my hobbies are somehow tied to what I do for a living, right? And so there's like a certain amount of like stress and pressure that go around with them. Like I love writing. I write scripts. I write this. I write that. I write lots of stuff. But at the end, it's ultimately like part of my job. And this is absolutely not part of my job. So I really I kind of treasure it and I enjoy doing it. Hey, Greg, how did my show go last night? It was good. So last night I did like a quarantine stand-up show on Zoom. And basically, what it was is they sold the producers of the show sold like 40 tickets to kind of match the feel of a comedy club, and I had Zoom open on like grid view so I could see everybody, and yeah, they would unmute like groups of people at a time so I could actually like hear reaction and stuff like that. And it was actually really fun. It was weird. It was hard to get used to because much like this, it was just me like I don't know, shouting at a computer screen a little bit. Doing actual jokes and like written material felt weird. But so I ended up just doing like a lot of crowd work really and just kind of riffing with everyone. Crowd work actually got easier because one, I could actually see everyone because the lights weren't off. I was in like a dark theater or something like that. And two, I could also see their homes. Like I could see where they live, and there was just so much to draw off of and play off of and stuff like that. So it was actually a lot of fun. Thank you for asking. I'm hoping I can do something like that again. Um, uh, Chris, you've been painting along with Bob Ross. That's cool. That's relaxing. I hope I'm just as soothing. Me and Bob Ross, basically the same person. So last week, uh, I was painting the crew of like a ballista unit, and I kept working on them, throughout the week after the show. But I thought I'd just give you. They're basically done. Um, so I thought I'd just show you what they look like now. So these guys are done. I'm calling them finished. I'm pretty happy with them. Pretty happy with how they turned out. Um, Last week I was talking about how these are terrible until they're just suddenly done and you like them. And that's kind of what happened with these. I hated them until they were done, and I was like, oh, I did it. Cool. Um, so yeah, I'm pretty happy with these guys. Um, so the bases aren't done, and I'll do bases on all this stuff last. I'll do an episode dedicated to bases because that means the army will officially be done. Um, what I'm going to do is these guys are from like a weird, like snowy, blizzardy, horrible place. That's like my head canon for them. The army's called the Wardens of the Lost Light. Hi, I'm very proud of that name. So what I'm going to do is I sort of have this like very pretty, sort of like a blue green that sort of has like this like ethereal kind of like glowy quality to it that I really like. And I'm going to do the bases in that. Like these guys have like some rubble and stuff like that that I had to paint. Most of the bases are just plain. But I'm going to, anything that's not rubble that I've already painted is going to get painted in that sort of like blue green. And then I'm going to do like a layer of snow and ice over it. And so hopefully the effect you get is you can kind of see the glow of that blue green like under the ice and the snow. Or it'll just be snow and I will have wasted my time doing the blue green. Either way, it's fine. It'll look good. So that's kind of what we're doing. How are you guys doing? Is there a way for us normies to watch the Zoom show? So I did that show for an event company, and they had like private members that they sold tickets to, and then I was released a certain amount of tickets to be able to sell. So I was like sort of like a private thing for them. Hopefully I'll do again and have another limited amount of tickets to sell. And hopefully I'll just do other stuff like kind of like that at some point because it was fun. It was a good time. Joshua says, very off topic, but you convinced me to play D&D. Now my friends have been playing weekly, and whether in person or now on Roll20, it's one of my favorite things. Oh, dude, that's so cool. I love it. It's super fun. We're actually going to do some D&D stuff on this. I hesitate to call it a show just because I made a logo for it. But on this year, we're going to do some D&D stuff on here. Coffee. On the next episode, actually, just to break things up so I'm not constantly just like drolling on and painting or not painting. Tomorrow, what we're going to do is we're going to build a city together in excuse me, a Dungeons and Dragons city together. We're going to build one as a group. There's a D&D resource YouTube channel that I like quite a bit, and I haven't started prepping for the show yet, so I can't remember what it's called. But basically, he put together like a questionnaire of like 40 questions, and you answer all the questions, and then suddenly you've created like a starting city for Dungeons and Dragons. So I'm going to do that with you guys. We're going to go through the questionnaire. We're going to build a city together, and then we're going to see where it goes. Maybe I'll have some friends over, and we'll do some quests and adventures in the city. Yeah, but I think that'll be a good time. Check the cup for paint. I have so many cups full of like just like little liquids around me. So I have my paint cup here, and then I have a water cup over here to actually drink from because I'm just rambling for an hour. And I have my coffee cup and a brush cup. Chances are I'm going to ingest poison before this ends. DC asks, have you checked out Star Wars Legion? It's a Star Wars tabletop war game. I haven't played it. I've seen it. It looks really cool. But there comes a time in every boy's life where he has to make a decision involving how much money he's going to spend on stuff and where he can put the stuff and how far he can push until the partner in his life goes, how much did all this stuff cost and why is it slowly taking over the house? So I decided that, it's taken me so long to just get through my Warhammer stuff. Um, that if I start like a whole nother game and a whole nother army, as much as I want like a whole bunch of really cool rebels to be able to paint because they're rad, and I want to get like the Endor rebel models, but I want to do like urban camo on them because maybe they're fighting in Coruscant, and how cool would that be? But as much as I want to do that, I also don't want to turn myself into a hoarder, which I will do very quickly because I don't have a lot of self control. So let's paint a little bit. So this is who I'm painting today. This is this unit's called a Lord-Castellant in my army. He's kind of like a cleric. He got like a lot of buffs and debuffs. He's sort of a backline guy that protects infantry and protects cavalry with different spells and stuff like that. I have been avoiding painting him forever because like look at all this shit, and look at he's covered in just shit you gotta paint, and it's very intense. Look at this asshole. He kind of has like a 90s Rob Liefeld character quality, but there's just so much stuff. There's so much stuff. If he didn't have feet, he would just look like Cable from 1994. But he does have feet. Anyways, there's just tons of just crap on this guy. Um, so I've just been avoiding him forever, basically. But I figured, it's time to be a man, hunker down, and finally paint this small piece of plastic. So I've gotten started on him a little bit. I've done a pass like on his cape, and then just like some little purple detailing. All the soldiers in my Stormcast army have these purple shoulder pads, like I don't know, pieces of armor. I made them sound like characters from Flashdance. Everyone's got shoulder pads and just jazz pants on, and they all color coordinate. So everyone's basically got this scheme with the turquoise accent, the base silver armor with the purple leather, and then like the hits of bronze. Um, the challenge with this guy is he is mostly metallic parts. There's not like a lot of leather straps on him, so he is mostly going to be just like, I don't know, just these weird hits of bronze, and there's a lot of detailing on him, and I'm not looking forward to painting him at all. He also has all of these like scrolls uh, just on him because I don't know, he fought a mummy, and I love how excessive and just like extra all of these things are. I try to start doing them in a layer of white, and it's like thin layers at a time because white is like sort of hard to apply to these guys, and I already hate it, but I'm gonna stick with it and see if it gets better. Maybe do white, and then there's all this like inlay writing and stuff. So I might try to hit that stuff with like a wash of purple, so that maybe it has like a little kind of a violet glow effect, or it'll look terrible. I don't know. We'll see what happens. We will see what happens. Christopher says I would make the corners of the lantern bronze as well as the center. I agree. Yeah, silver on the armor, and then I have so I do the bronze, and then I also do these like little like gold pops, and they mix pretty well together. So like you'll see on her, like the edging on the purple shoulder pauldrons is that bronze, and then the this is bronze, and then you'll see like the little sort of like pops of gold, like on her belt buckle. There's like different pieces on whatever the hell it is that she's holding. I don't know what that is, and then like detailing on the sword is all gold on top of that bronze. And they work pretty well together. And my cats are right off camera and about to murder each other. Stop being shit. Oh my god, I told you to stop being a shit. Stop it. I fucking hate you. Hi. My cat's very possessive, and if the other cat gets too close to me, she tries to murder him. And that's where I'm at. Okay, so I'm going to get started on this guy a little bit. kind of figure out like what I want to work on. The other thing that makes me nervous about this guy is I'm really bad at painting helmetless heads and faces. One of the reasons I really liked Stormcast is they all had these like helmets on with these like blank face masks. Oh my god, I should stop it. And I was like, oh great, I don't have to paint human faces. That sounds great. And then eventually they just started selling models without helmets on, and I was like, jerks. I did this one to myself, actually. I customized this one. I ordered this model head from a different company because I was like, this guy's sort of like a centerpiece, like leader in my, I'm just going to let this fight happen. And what's going to happen now is they're going to run around the corner into the apartment. You're going to hear a tussle, and then you're going to hear my wife yell because they're going to jump on her. I'm very excited about that. Thank you, cats. You shitheads. So anyways, this guy's sort of a centerpiece. So I was like, he should stand out like a little bit. And I don't really have like, I don't know. He's got like a beard and long hair, and I don't know. Like I don't really have like a Thor-looking dude in this army. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. Is this bearded Thor-looking guy is very bad at painting that. So I'm gonna leave that to last. I also don't have the colors that I want really to do his head and hair. Do I have a Patreon or other some such donating service? No, I don't. Not right now. If you want, for now, for stuff like that, if you go to joestarrclub.club, my website, which my friend Ashley is working on for me. Wave to Ashley in the chat. I love her, and she's great. You can either like buy a copy of one of my albums or something like that. That's the best way to support me for now, or just hit like on this thing. Like all of you have pretty much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I'll figure out some kind of separate Patreon thing or something at some point. I don't know what I want to do with one yet, really. Maybe it'll focus on stand-up or something like that. The challenge is that I feel weird because it's like I have to make sure it doesn't have to do with like Joe's going to chat about movies and stuff like that, because then I would be in conflict with the company that already employs me. So I feel bad because most people are like, I know Joe because he talks about movies, and then I would have to be like, sign up for my Patreon, which has nothing to do with that. So it'll probably be like stand-up comedy based or something like that. I keep talking at this guy. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna work on his big halberd axe thing today. I feel like that's something I can work on and talk to you guys and not become insanely distracted in the process. I just have to figure out what I actually want this to be and to look like. Screw it. Let's just jump into it. So I use Army Painter brand paints and some Citadel stuff. But again, I'm cheap. I don't have a ton of funds or resources to like buy this stuff. That's why I have an Amazon wish list. When I finally jumped into this, I bought like basically I kind of picked my color scheme for these guys. I bought like a round of paints, and I've had them pretty much ever since. So my paints are pretty old. The Army Painter stuff has held up pretty well. I had to bite the bullet and replace my gold paint because that was a Citadel paint, and the one that I had just died. It turned orange, and no amount of mixing or shaking or praying or wishing fixed that. That guy should be inside. I apologize for the street noise, but I'm not willing to sacrifice the nice breeze for quality of show. You guys just aren't worth that to me. Another unrelated question. Joe gonna drop that Cybermen comedy album? That should be the follow-up is to British Murder Robot. Let me ask you guys this, actually. Go look at the cover to British Murder Robot. And would you guys buy that on a shirt? 'Cause I think I love that design, and I was kind of thinking about trying to like sell it as a shirt. So if you're into that, that'd be really really cool. Um, Another unrelated point. Have you played Betrayal at Baldur's Gate? It's a great D&D themed board game. I have not actually, but I am excited about the Baldur's Gate video game. I think that that'll be really cool. Actually, I mean, it's hard to paint like this, but I feel like doing a paint and chat is a lie if you can't actually see the painting happen. This is my Flight of the Navigator robot that I'm trying to also not point directly into the camera because that would be bad. So we're hitting this with the bronze a little bit. And I'm trying to be really patient with this guy and sort of apply really thin layers, let them dry, and then go back and hit him again. Like, because I got that, that nice result with the cape. And I think this is like 6 layers that I just keep going back and hitting just to, be patient. I feel bad because I'm actually not great at this, but metallic paints, again, why I chose the Stormcast army because they're mostly armor. Because metallic paints just make you fucking look like you're great at this. Um, it's just they almost like highlight and shadow themselves, and the way the light hits them looks great, and it just makes you look like you're a much better painter than you are. The next army I have my eye on doing after I finally finish this one is a combination of 2 armies. So Warhammer just put out these new elves that look fucking cool. They have like all these like ancient Greece influences. They look really cool. I haven't really seen elves designed like that. And they also have an army called the Sylvaneth, which are like basically evil tree spirits. And the models are beautiful. And I kind of want to do a combination of the 2 of them as my next army. Uh, but the idea of just like painting leaves and bark and stuff where I can't hide behind metallic paints sounds like a bit of a challenge that I don't know if I will be good at, but I think it'll be fun. But at the same time, here's the thing with fun with these, like, a starter pack of these is like, like $75. It's like, it's an investment, right? Which is also why I'm okay with the fact that I've taken so long to paint any of this because I've gotten my money's worth, man. Um, but it also sort of like gets in your head where you're like, do I want to paint something from this that's just like, well, that turned out okay. It's like that sucks if you paid like $75 for like a starter pack of models and then you paint them and then you're like, well, that was always $75. I really kind of don't want anyone to see these. The lawyer side of me wonders about licensing issues with the British Murder Bot t-shirt. You're probably right, but at the same time, I don't know, man. Disney lets so much Star Wars stuff go by on Etsy. I'm wondering if someone would actually bug me about it. Plus, my murder robot looks different enough, right? Right? He doesn't look too much like a Dalek. But I've never said he's a Dalek. He's a British murder robot. They're completely different things. Completely different things. Do, do, do. I almost broke and bought the old Baldur's Gate games because they remastered them and released them on console. And I almost the other day was just like, screw it, I'm doing it. But then you would never see me again because that's all I would be doing is playing those. And I'm already regretting how I did this. Yeah, it's fine. That's the other fun thing about painting minis is that if you second guess yourself in life as much as I do, they're really stressful and to paint because the moment you put paint on them, you're like, oh fuck, I screwed up. I screwed up. I screw everything up. You can't see this at all. This is the stupidest show. And I'm so sorry that you're watching it. You may or may not get a cat in a second. Hmm. She tried to navigate through the cups and thankfully decided not to do it. You guys, please be welcome to hit me with questions, anything you guys want to talk about. It is, after all, paint and chat. So anything you guys want to chat about, throw it in that chat, and we will do it. Also, despite my earlier comment, don't think you can't like ask me about my favorite TV show or some shit like that. I'm perfectly allowed to talk to you about my favorite TV show. I just can't do a show called Movie Battles. One, because I don't want to. Because isn't it cool to have new and fresh ideas and not rely on a one-trick pony format for the rest of your life? Isn't that fun? Thoughts on GW bringing back old fantasy? I don't really know what it means yet. Like, I'm totally cool with it. I'm really hoping that it's old models that still work with Age of Sigmar. But I have no idea like what the old world game is or it's going to be. Is it going to be like a smaller scale game like Warcry or Killzone, or is it literally just they're bringing ranges back that I can interact with Age of Sigmar? I actually have no idea, but I am totally into it because honestly, when I finally made the decision to like jump into this, I was like, I'm going to do fantasy because I think those all look really cool. And then like literally it was the worst timing because Games Workshop was like, we're getting rid of fantasy and replacing it with this. And I was like, oh, but then I saw these guys and I was like, you know what? They look pretty cool. I like those guys. They look real neat. Coming soon, cat battles with Joe Starr. You know what? Honestly, it'd be easier. I honestly should just do a show that's literally just my cats. I think more people would tune in, would be a lot more responsive, and I don't know, I could get famous off my cats. Finally, you know, I deserve some cat fame. From what we've seen, it's mostly new models that play in their own separate game. That's sad. I think, look, Games Workshop likes money, and I think they'll figure out a way to like give them rules to play in Age of Sigmar so that we can get our money's worth out of models. Or I'll just, I mean, as long as the scale is right, and they're not like weirdly scaled like the Lord of the Rings stuff, I'll just get them and use them like in replacement of models, you know? Okay, so I'm going to get off of this guy for a second. I'm going to let what I just did dry while I also rethink everything I just did. Clean this brush a little bit. You mentioned the Baldur's Gate video game earlier. I played the first Baldur's Gate a little bit a long time ago, but the D&D PC games that I remember the most, they weren't even PC games because I played them on the Commodore 64, were these Forgotten Realms games that I had on. Yeah, were they on my Commodore 64? No, they weren't on my Commodore. They were newer than that. It was like in '96 when like, you know, my parents brought like our first actual home computer home. Like they brought, I think it was like a Gateway or something like that. And I had all these CD-ROMs of Forgotten Realms D&D games that I got like at a Babbage's. And I love those things. I just had a whole party of half giants and would stomp around a village and murder everything. Super fun. So I absolutely loved those. Hi, Broken Bones. How are you doing? So yeah, so I love those games, um, and the new Baldur's Gate looks great. Um, and yeah, I think the D&D games obviously know how to scratch that D&D itch a little better than like most games do. Like, you know, because I play Dragon Age Inquisition. I actually horribly timed my replay of Dragon Age Inquisition because I finished the game and then the quarantine started. Sure, kind of wish I had 1,000 hours worth of Dragon Age to play right now. Um, and they're great. I enjoy them. Like I like Skyrim, but there's just an itch that they don't scratch right. That D&D just does. Um, just because their range of storytelling is so much bigger because it's limitless. Skyrim's great, but like it's weird that you know you can become I don't remember the titles of anything in Skyrim, but like you can become like the head of the mage college. You can become the most important sorcerer on the continent, and you still walk around and people are like, "Hey, who are you?" Like the world doesn't change around you, and I don't know, like it gets frustrating. It's super fun, but and I'm not talking shit about it, but like those games just they're limited, obviously, and being able to play D&D with your friends is not. Um, Speaking of D&D, I know most of you probably follow Hal Rudnick. Um, uh, he keeps posting as a as like a cam girl character named Caramel the Wizard, and I really want to do a D&D one shot with Caramel. It'll be weird and sexy and stupid, and I really want to do it. I think we'll try to do that on this channel. I think it'd be fun. Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2. No, I've never played those. Again, I'm not like a huge gamer. I definitely don't want to give the misconception that I'm a huge gamer. I also I feel bad sometimes because people get really excited that I watch a lot of anime, but I'm like a real basic bitch anime kid. Basically, like the extent of my anime fandom is either my wife will discover something or Emma Fife will mention that I should watch something, and I'm like, okay, I will. But like, I'm not like a huge like super fan. Like I love anime, but all of you definitely know more about it than me. Probably the same with most games. I have like a handful of games that I've played over and over again. If you want to talk for a few hours about Final Fantasy Tactics, let's do it. But other than that, like I'm honestly not like a huge gamer. I love playing XCOM. Again, like I really liked Dragon Age. I tried to get into the new Spider-Man that everybody loved, and I didn't like it. I got like towards the end of the tutorial mission, and I don't know, I just kind of got overwhelmed and turned into a grandpa and was just like, in my day games were simple to play. It just did not end up enjoying it. um, Favorite classes in XCOM, I mean Rangers, right? Like with the swords, that's great. There's no beating that. They're awesome. And also props to Epic Voice Guy, who is a commander. That's John. That's John Bailey. Ba-ba-ba-ba-da. Bradley, cool. I just won an eBay auction for an Edge of the Empire rule book. Enjoy it. Edge of the Empire is a super fun, kind of like D&D similar system, but for Star Wars. Um, Actually, that's something I'd recommend. If you want to get into D&D, but you're kind of like, I don't know what any of these places are. I don't know how to visualize any of them, and I totally get that because that's a problem that I have a lot of the time too. Might be easier to start in a universe that you and your players all sort of have like a common base of understanding for. And if you wanted to do that, Edge of the Empire is awesome. It's a fantastic Star Wars game set. Um, the time period's like original trilogy. I absolutely love it. The gameplay is definitely different from Dungeons and Dragons in terms of mechanics and stuff like that. But it's really fun, and I think it moves really fluidly, and I think you'd really enjoy it. Do, 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 do. What class do you make yourself in XCOM? I've never made me. I've definitely made all of my friends. Um, Typically, I'll make my friends, and then I'll make them all as rookies, and then it's always fun to see um, what they actually end up being. Um, obviously, I've made everyone I work with, into stuff, and I think Spencer was like a specialist, Dan was like a heavy weapons guy. Um, None of them survived. Eric Ishii ended up being like my cool psychic, stuff like, well, which that tracks. That's not shocking or surprising at all. I used to play. Hey, Craig says I used to play the Marvel role-playing game in high school. I started my first role-playing game was TMNT and Other Strangeness from Palladium, which I loved, like because that was firmly rooted in those like first initial um, black and white, like super bloody, weird, like Daredevil parody TMNT books. And yeah, oh god, I love those things. Um, and by play, I mean me and my buddy would just make characters because we didn't really have anyone to play with. And then from that, I got into Rifts because that was also a Palladium game. And then from there, we got into Vampire and Mage the Ascension, which my parents put a real fast stop to because there were there was a quote unquote vampire cult killing in Kentucky, and the news mentioned once that they played Vampire the Masquerade, and like that was it. That was it. Like I promise you right now, if there are so many parents and now like grandparents in Kentucky, if they saw a role playing game book, they would still be like, "Are you part of that cult? Oh, they killed a man." So yeah, so that stuff got taken away from me like real quick, uh, which sucked. And then I played a little bit of D&D in college, but then really didn't get back into it until I was in my 30s and a grown man that can make his own decisions about doing imaginary playtime things. Joshua, do you have a favorite character you've created for D&D? Um, Not for myself, really, that I've ever like just like super loved. A friend ran a game for a little while, and I played a gnome who oh, this was a Pathfinder game. This wasn't D&D, and the gnomes in Pathfinder um, like have a weird system with them where like if they're not constantly wandering and exploring and in a sense of like wonder, they start to get sad and depressed and until they slowly turn into like dead husks or something like that. Um, so I really liked playing that gnome who was constantly just he hadn't really ever interacted with people before, and he took everything at face value and very sort of like dumb and sweet and innocent and very like excited about everything. So that was a fun character to play. I can't believe your parents stopped you from joining a vampire cult. I know. I feel like my life could have been totally different if I had just gotten to be in that vampire cult. Um, I do wish I'd been able to keep playing the game. So we were going to play with my good buddies, like older sister and her friends, and like their group. And I do wish, honestly, I know you were making a joke about the vampire cult, but because I think I've talked about this before, I've kept my nerdy on the down low for like a really long time. Um, just fear of being bullied and stuff like that. And I do wonder if I had actually started spending more time with that group of people, if I had just gotten a lot more confidence in what I liked and what I was into, and how different my life would look. That'd be interesting. Um, there was still a pretty big following for Vampire the Masquerade in Indiana in the early 2000s. There's a super fun vampire show to watch, LA by Night, um, that Erica Ishii's in, and a couple of other people. It's on Nerdist, right? No, it's not on Nerdist anymore. Or Geek and Sundry. I mean, it was on Geek and Sundry. It's not anymore. Uh, Super worth watching if you're looking for random tabletop stuff to watch. Um, Shadowrun Bradley, I never got into. It's a cool world. It's a super cool world. I played the Super Nintendo game a lot, but I also had no manual or instructions for it at all, so it was really impossible to figure out how to play. Um, but I used to rent it from the place down the street all the time and try to figure it out. It was super fun. Did you play any Changeling? No, I don't think I've ever heard of Changeling. Oh, drink some coffee. Tell me about Changeling. All right, let's jump back into this guy a little bit. So something I'm thinking is I'm just going to start trying to hit lots of different bronze spots on this guy. Um, Just like I hit all the blue and I hit all the purple, I'm going to start trying to hit all the bronze. I feel like I'm the most anxiety-inducing version of Bob Ross. Just my voice is constantly shaky and nervous. And aren't you calm? And isn't this chill? Thank you guys again for tuning in and hanging out and watching and subscribing and liking the video and all that good stuff. This is kind of just something I'm doing for fun. Just for myself, really. But nonetheless, I appreciate you guys giving a shit about it. It's nice. Okay. I'm going to start painting more bronze that you can't quite see. I tell you guys, man, right off the camera frame, this looks awesome. Shit's really going down right over here. I probably could figure out some kind of setup where there was a second camera that you could see this. But you know what? That would take effort. Nope. 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 I'm going to continue doing this with my dumb, janky setup and my table that I'm not allowed to get wet for some reason. And that's just going to be the way it is, I think. It's a joy to experience this. It's something to experience this, Christy. I don't know if joy is the right word. Y'all finished Tiger King yet? Y'all finished that there Tiger King? That shit was a trip, man. Y'all watch it if you ain't watched it yet. What are you guys watching while we wait for the end? While we wait for the apocalypse? I always feel bad on SJU when we try to do all of this like tangentially coronavirus related news, because I don't feel very good about any of it, honestly. Like, I feel like every government in the world is lying to us about how bad it is, and we're all gonna die. Isn't that fun? Isn't that relaxing? That's kind of how I feel about it. So it's hard to sort of like put on a smiley face talking about it on the show, because you also don't want to completely take something off the rails and take it to Depression Town, especially if there's 3 other people on camera with you and you're supposed to be supporting them and helping move the show along and stuff like that. It's hard to be like, hey, do you guys want to see Wonder Woman on VOD? And I'm like, I just want to survive for 2 more weeks. That's kind of where I'm at right now, which is okay, I think. I think if you aren't really quite sure what to do with yourself right now or how to feel, I think that's perfectly okay. If you haven't been doing 1 million push-ups a day, or finally writing that book you've been meaning to write, I think that's fine, because this has been a lot. This has been a lot to deal with. And it's okay if you're feeling a little funky about it. Been rewatching Hey Arnold for some reason. That's cool, though. I've never watched Hey Arnold. Did you ever play StarCraft or Warcraft? Yes, I played both of them. I didn't play World of Warcraft, but I loved Warcraft 3 and Warcraft 2 a lot. I watched a few Ozarks last night. I am really excited to start season 3 of Ozark. Yesterday was kind of a long day, so I didn't really have it in me to start the show, so we ended up just watching a couple episodes of Love is Blind, which is a trip. Which is a very weird trip if you haven't watched it. I'm really late. We're really late on watching Love is Blind. I think the whole internet had already watched it when we started, because we were watching Tiger King. Bon Appetit test kitchen videos. I've heard a lot of people talk about Bon Appetit, but I don't really know what it is. It sounds really cool. It sounds like something I should watch, or at least check out. I did watch Emma, which is wonderful. I can't recommend it enough. Every frame of it is absolutely gorgeous. The director's name just slipped my mind. Autumn does something, I think. She's phenomenal. Just the way she stages her shots, the blocking, literally every shot you could hang on a wall, and it would look like you had just this beautiful masterwork on your wall. It was super fun. The cast was really great, and you should watch it. After The Witcher, what video game would you love to get a TV show? I'd love to see the new Wolfenstein games get a show. Hey, Glenn. I don't know. What game? I think Witcher works because it wasn't a game first. It was a book. So it had like its established story and everything. I think that's why it works so well. And I also think it works so well because similar like Hitchhiker's Guide, they didn't try to like match a tone. They did their own thing. And I think that really worked out to the show's benefit. Why hasn't there been a D&D TV series? That's a good question. Critical Role is doing their animated series, which I think will be awesome. But I am actually like, it's such an open world sandbox that I believe Warner Brothers has the rights right now to a D&D movie. And I'm really surprised we haven't seen any movement on that. Because you can do anything. You can do absolutely anything. Like there's lore to get right or whatever, depending on what you do. But there's no I feel like there's no bingo, like there is with Marvel or something like that. So I am actually kind of surprised that they have not jumped on like a big announcement for like, oh, here's our new D&D series. They might be a little gun shy. I know King Arthur was supposed to be their big thing. Like they were supposed to be. I think there's supposed to be like 5 of those, and it got greeted like a wet fart, and it obviously got canned. So they might be a little gun shy on moving forward with more fantasy stuff. Hey Eric, yeah, it's tough to stay upbeat during all of this, but do what you can, and that's the most we can all do, really, and I'm glad that we do have the shows that we do to kind of help people smile a little bit. That's nice because really what we do is sort of pointless and stupid. So we're talking about movie news, which is a pretty low on the totem pole life thing. But what I like about what we do on SJU is it's more just about having fun and being silly, and being kind of dumb, and that's why I like it more. But obviously, also I'm biased because I'm on it and it pays my bills, and it's my job to do it. That's why I like it more than other internet movie stuff because it's about just sort of recognizing that what we're doing is kind of silly and having some fun. Christopher just asked Bloodshot ? Yes, I don't know. I haven't watched it yet, but I have to for work at some point soon. Limited series for Mass Effect would be cool. Yeah, Burt Jennings, Mass Effect. I love that. I don't know anything about Mass Effect, but I do listen to their podcast, and I like it a lot. It's really good because Burt is a great storyteller. There's a Burt Jennings does a Mass Effect RPG. They do a podcast of it, and it's super fun. You should listen to it, you assholes. Support Burt. Quit being dicks and support Burt. I'm going to paint over so much of this later. And again, I drifted down again, and you can't see anything that I'm doing. I apologize. So here's kind of where we are, hitting all of these bronze spots. So I hit the edges of that axe. I hit some detailing on him. I started working on his giant cod piece. He is definitely overcompensating for something because holy crap, this cod piece is ridiculous. You can't be maybe you can't necessarily like be a war hero and have a big old dong. You can't have everything, right? You made a choice. Have you seen Thundercats Roar yet? It's pretty hilarious. I haven't watched it yet. A lot of funny people that I like a lot write that show, though. So I'm super glad you're watching it and positive to it, because I know there's been a pretty negative reaction to Thundercats Roar, because, you know, sometimes people get mad when something isn't made for them. Um, you know, it's made for children, you know, or people that just like funny, stupid things. And that's one just weird thing about fandoms in general. Like the moment something's not just catered directly to them, they lose their minds, and it's so dumb and like frustrating to watch happen. It was like that with Star Wars Galaxy. Everyone's like, "Oh, these stupid little shorts," and it's like they're for little girls, man. Like, grow up. Not everything's for you. Talking God pieces with Joe Starr, baby. The kind of content you guys crave. This is what I've gotten done in an hour. This is why this shit takes so long. I am going to stop for a second and let those little chunks dry. Do, 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 do. I do enjoy doing this with you guys. I appreciate you hanging out. One thing I am watching while this goes on is on my lunch breaks during the week, while I'm taking a break from Screen Junkies things and such. And by the way, thank you guys all for your patience on us coming back live. I know right out the gate, I saw a lot of people that were just like, just turn on your webcams and do the show remotely. And we're not, what we do isn't just a podcast every day. You guys probably see about 40% of what we actually work on and make every day. Honest Trailers and SJU are sort of really like a tip of the iceberg thing. Like there's a shitload that we do. And so we're part of like a really big company now. And the logistics of getting those hundreds of employees set up to do remote broadcasting and work, and then also for us, like head to toe rethinking what we do on a daily basis to like match this, took a minute. So I was really glad that we had those pre-tapes banked, and I appreciate your all's patience for us getting that stuff ready, because that was a little frustrating. People were just like, everybody else does Zoom, and it was like, yeah, but we have to figure. There's like a lot we have to figure out. So thank you guys for your patience on that, and thank you guys for watching. I don't remember where I was going with that point. Oh, but anyway, sorry, that's where I was going. So on my lunch breaks, because I'm fortunate enough to still have a job and be really busy, so that I can be mentally distracted from the upcoming apocalypse. I've been watching Legends of Korra finally. I have never watched it all the way through, so I started with episode 1 yesterday. And so on my lunch every day, Monday through Friday, I want to watch me some Korra. I'm very excited about that. I'm sure the logistics of SGU at home is more in depth than a lot of people realize. Yeah, yes and no. Like not even, well, yeah, we have like an engineer and all the graphics and everything and blah 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 blah, and a lot of stuff going on. But not even just SJU. Like we do a ton of stuff to keep the lights on that isn't even really sort of like for public consumption necessarily, and a lot of stuff too that goes just directly on fandom.com. SGU is sort of like a fun thing we get to do. It's not like that it's extra, but it's definitely not the most important thing we had to figure out when the world started to end, in terms of making sure that our company was still moving forward to be successful. But is latency ever an issue? What do you mean by latency? Like, this is the content you want, me just completely blanking on understanding what a question was. Oh, the delay, I mean, no, it really hasn't been. I was wondering about that too. I was really worried about internet connection being a weird problem, and our timing being really off, and and then like the chemistry that the four of us have getting really screwed up. But it really hasn't been that big of a problem. What do you think of the new Transformers series on Netflix? Um, I'm gonna watch it. I'm really hoping it's good. I don't like the animation style. I feel so bad about that. I try really hard to not just like. It's one reason I don't love movie fights and stuff like that, right? Because I'm a part of this industry, and it's not just in like I want to suck dicks and like make sure I'm not stepping on anybody's toes way, but because like I recognize how much effort actually gets put into this stuff. Uh, that then you go into movie fights mode, and it's like that movie's a piece of shit. It's like, well, you do better. I certainly can't. Um, so what I will say is like the animation style isn't really for me. I just love just really well done 2D animation, and um, I was really hoping for a Transformers series that would sort of fit that mold a little bit, and I'm really hoping that this one's good, um, and enjoyable. Um, it's just not exactly what I wanted, and I expect the world to kind of be catered to me. I think that's the least I can expect is for everything that's made, to be for me. Ba-ba-ba. All right, let's start reapplying some bronze. My buddy Andrew Rollins DeWitt, who you should also follow on Twitter, is a Warhammer guy. Very funny comic, and a really good painter. And something he actually did, which blew me away, was he like started studying all these makeup tutorials and stuff so that he could paint faces well. And so he literally will just have a brush that's like the width of one hair, and he'll like apply smoky eye to his like lady soldiers. It's absolutely crazy. It is absolutely insane. There's a lot of hyperbole in movie discussion. Christopher says X is the worst thing ever. X is the best thing ever. It's hard to be level headed sometimes. Yeah, and look, I think for stuff like movie fights, it's 90% performance, right? I mean, most of the time. I actually hate Bright as much as I said I hated Bright on movie fights. I really hate that movie. I hate every frame of it. Uh, and the guy that wrote it is a real piece of shit. Um, but that said, I think for the most part, like a lot of it's like performance, right? And it's for the camera. And I think a lot of people get that and understand that, but a lot of people don't. Honestly, like a lot of people take that show so seriously, which is weird to me because it started as a gag, right? Like movie fights started as a goof. It was very stupid. It was like Mundy and Hal yelling at each other about stupid stuff, and then somehow it evolved into a serious thing. Um, and it was just so it was so unwelcoming to people. I always hated inviting people onto movie fights for the longest time, especially in the old days, because inevitably the comments were always just awful. Oh, this stupid motherfucker doesn't know shit, and blah blah blah. And it was just like, God damn, like the show was supposed to be a joke, right? Like, and in a lot of ways, I'm like, well, we contributed to the worst parts of internet culture in a way. Um, it's what it is. Yeah, the people who don't get it make me a little nervous. Me too. Me too. Um, that kind of hyperbole is why I got tired of movie fights. Same, honestly. And look, I can't speak for everyone that I work with, and nothing I say here is official Screen Junkies policy or anything like that. It's just my own thoughts. Um, I don't personally miss doing the show weekly. It just gets exhausting. Like, what thing are we going to scream about this week? It's why I like SJU a lot more because it's just fun and light and silly. Uh, and we can do knife infomercials and Alf impressions. Just better. Just better for the it's the kind of thing I'd rather be putting out there than, which Batman sucked the most ass. Like, what's the point? What's the point? Like, why does it matter? Christopher, I sort of got out of movie fights after a while. Um, guys, so did I, honestly, which was probably bad because I was producing it. Uh, sometimes you just gotta grow out of stuff and evolve, right? Like, something I will say for movie fights is that it went on for like 5, 6 years. That's crazy. Like network shows don't get runs like that. Eh, And even before we started, we tried that switch to the two-person format, which did not work, admittedly, at all. The show was already starting to decline in numbers. They were going way down. Um, it was already kind of going on life support. Um, but ultimately, it's like, holy crap, that show ran forever. You know, um, uh, CSI spinoffs don't get that many episodes, and those are CSI spinoffs. So ultimately, it's kind of like the show was a success, and if we never do it again, I think it had its run, and I'm proud of it. Meh, meh, meh. Um, DCS, have you considered Blades of Corn? I do have a bunch of corn stuff. Well, I have all the stuff from the starter box, and it's the stuff I painted first, and I'm really actually really pleased with how it all painted up. The blood reavers on the thumbnail of my first episode of this show I painted, and I was really proud of how they turned out. Yes, I said the word blood reaver. A side bonus of Warhammer is that all the names are ridiculous, uh, like Blood Secrator, Lord-Castellant. Um, uh, every now and then I'll go into work and Spencer will be like, "Hey, did you paint any of your Warhammer stuff this weekend?" And I'll be like, "Yeah." He'll be like, "What was it called?" And I'll be like, "A Blood Secrator." And he'll be like, "The Blood Secrator." He'll just start singing made up heavy metal lyrics based on my dumb Warhammer units. I love how extra these things are. They're so ridiculous and over the top, and I kind of love it. I kind of love it. I can't help but feel incredibly old whenever I realize how long I've been watching you. Well, it has been an hour and 2 minutes, um, which I totally get it. This hour has dragged, has really dragged. Hey, Craig says I just missed some of the weirdos. Julia Prescott is a treasure. Climate change is real. I love Julia. And look, um, the I think I, I definitely try to institute some changes into that show, right? In terms of what we were doing and how we were presenting it. And I think people like Julia Prescott were a big point of that change, who were just like, the premise of this is ridiculous. And I was really kind of trying to take it back to its roots, where you had someone like Julia Prescott yelling about how Sabretooth can get it. And a lot of people were like, I want my serious business movie fights back. And sorry, I'm just not super interested in doing that. As a creator, it bores me. It's boring to me to just sit and serious business scream about this stuff all the time. Just is. Here's where we're at. Uh, this gentleman has a lot of bronzer on now, a whole lot of self tan. That cape's still looking pretty good. Um, got 2 layers on his halberd, and just doing a lot of detail stuff on his lantern right now, and his big dick energy cod piece. Feel like we made some progress, you guys. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I'm gonna end this one. Gonna do this again tomorrow. Tomorrow we're not gonna paint though. Tomorrow I'm going to, with you guys, build a D&D starter city. So we are going to group build a cool town that has not previously existed in Dungeons and Dragons, that you guys will be welcome to use as the starter town for your own games and your own campaigns. I think it'll be a lot of fun. So I'll see you guys tomorrow, probably around the same time, probably around 11 o'clock. stay safe and wash your butts and share your toilet paper and wash your hands and be anxious if you need to be anxious and sit and breathe if you need to sit and breathe and go running if you need to go run. Do what you need to do. Take care of yourselves. And I will see you guys next time.